asking questions in English. You can write in Russian and we can translate. It's not a problem as well. Okay, I think I mentioned everything we're supposed to mention, so let's start. And welcome, Laurie and Shahina.
Thank you. I salute everybody who's online and offline. Hello, our dear, let's say, quarantine and self-isolated Go Viral community. I'm really happy to work with Professor Wolfe once again. She is not just a wonderful professional, but also a very kind and nice person. And to start off our session, I wanted to read this statement that I have recently read in Atlantic, which goes like this: the COVID-19 crisis has revealed several things, and one of them is that the government is essential and public service is valuable. Facts and science should guide decisions. And I would also add to this that our mindset and responses to this issue actually can prevent social security from turning into social breakdown. And at this point, I think it's really important for all of us to learn about these new normals. Actually, speaking of normal, what's normal and what's not? Like some things which are normal today, they were totally abnormal some time ago. They come and go, I wouldn't trust them, but still, for all of us to know like what's happening and to be more flexible towards, embracing these changes, it's important to know what's normal, what's a new normal right now. And Professor Wolfe, I guess now there are two things are certain. One of them is that we fear that we might be also infected and expose our families to this. Mm-hmm. And another one is that being constantly anxious. And the rest is just doomed into a high level of uncertainty. What is new normal? What do we do with this?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having this session, right? I think that we are all across the world dealing with a lot of uncertainty, and that causes us all anxiety, right? Because we just don't know what's going to happen. But we're all in this together, right? No matter what country you're watching this from, probably you're on some sort of stay-at-home order, shelter-in-place, lockdown, quarantine, whatever you're calling it, where you are. Here in Minnesota, we're going on our third week of not leaving our houses. So we're all getting a little crazy, to say it informally, right? So yeah, our social lives are different, right? We're not able to go out and socialize the way we used to, and perhaps we're socializing a little too much with our families we are here at home with. We don't get a lot of space from our loved ones for some of us. Others, we are isolating alone, and so we're dealing with loneliness. So our social relationships have changed dramatically. Our work lives, our school lives, right? We're doing everything online now, like this talk. I was, as Gahor said, I was lucky enough in January to be in Tashkent and visiting Shahina and some other friends there, and got to do a talk in person for Go Viral in Tashkent. It was wonderful. So I was really happy to be invited back. But of course, this is an entirely different format, and it's a different way of presenting and interacting. And so we've had to adjust to a new way of doing work. Some of us have had to adjust to not being able to do work, right? Not everyone is lucky enough to work in a profession where you can do it online. So some of us are having to adjust to not being able to go to work, which is giving us financial strains, right? It's difficult if you're not working and not having the normal income. So just about every aspect of our lives right now is different. So we have a whole new set of what is considered normal. Like yesterday when we were preparing for this, Shaheen and I were talking, and I have a teenage son who walked into the room. He's been wearing the same pajamas for 4 days. Do I care at this point? Not really. You know, it just seems normal now. Right? So everything is different, it seems. And we have to be okay with allowing those changes to happen in our lives, at least for the time being. And we don't really know how long that's going to be.
Still, I have this question in mind. How do I stop thinking how do I stop thinking about how we might get infected or our loved ones, and how do we choose our responses towards this fear? How do we tackle it? How do we overcome it? And you are experiencing the same. How do you managing it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because in a time like this where there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of things we just don't know. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how this is going to affect our social lives, our work lives, our school lives. You know, eventually it's going to end, but are things going to be the same? Probably not. There will probably be some long-term changes to society after this. And we just don't have any way of knowing what that is. And when we don't know, we tend to get caught in this loop of, you know, I wonder, what if that, what if this, right? And you start to allow your mind to sort of spiral out of control. And another thing that's leading to, I know for myself, is looking for information, right? So because we don't know, we're trying to help ourselves reduce our anxiety by trying to find information. So you kind of get stuck in this rabbit hole of looking at one article and then another article and then one news report and what did somebody post on social media and who did what, and is there a new treatment? Do they have tests? You know, how many cases do we have today? And you just kind of, your mind runs away from you. And usually that does not lead to a happy place, right? We start to get even more and more and more anxious about, oh, am I going to get sick? Are my loved ones going to get sick? What's going to happen? Am I ever going to be able to go back to work? It just gets out of control. So one of the things that I do is consciously stop myself. Like I have to, it takes some self-awareness. You have to say, you know what? I'm doing this again. Like I can tell my mind is running away from me. I've been spending 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, on social media, just reading things about the virus, and I need to stop. So part of it is having an awareness when your mind starts to get out of control, and then being able to just tell yourself, you know what, I need to do something different right now. This is not healthy for me. It's not helping my mental wellness. So I need to stop and do something else. And a little later on in the session, Shakina and I have arranged for me to teach you a breathing exercise. It's a very simple relaxation breathing exercise that you can do anytime, anywhere. When your mind starts to run away and you notice it, you start to feel that anxiety building, you can stop and just take some deep breaths, calm yourself, and sort of slow your mind down. So that's sort of the first step I would try, is to notice it and then stop and breathe.
Notice. Yeah. And the thing you were saying about our perception, nothing can probably beat you this hard as your own perception. And that's why you have to work with this, and trying to change it. But before we get to the point of, understanding our perception and trying actually to change it, our bodies and minds have already worked out a system which is called defense mechanism, and it comes in a shape of and in a color of anxiety. And first of all, it's caused because of physical isolation. How do I deal with this? Anxiety caused by physical isolation. I mean, I need space. Honestly, I need space.
Yeah, it's very hard. And in some places, people, they can't even go outside because maybe you live in an apartment building, you don't have a balcony. Like, you literally are trapped indoors, which is really a struggle. I'm very lucky that I live in a house and we have a yard, so at least I can go outside and get some fresh air. But you're right. I mean, it's a real challenge for us to be isolated, to feel sometimes trapped, like you feel trapped in your home because you just don't have the freedom that you're used to. And it doesn't actually matter where the anxiety comes from, like what triggers the response. The same thing happens in your body. So as you said, your body has defensive systems. So when you perceive danger for any reason, whatever you think it is, you may not actually be in danger. Like, we've been quarantining, and I don't think we've come in contact with anyone who's got the virus, although I don't know. It's part of the uncertainty, right? You go to the grocery store, you have to buy food. You don't know who maybe sneezed on that food before you picked it up, right? I mean, we do we do what we can. But if we get in a situation where our brain starts to run away from us and we start to go to that place of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And think of it as a dangerous situation, whether it really is or not, doesn't matter, whether it comes from physical isolation or social isolation or whatever, it triggers the same physiological response in our bodies. So we have a stress response. So whenever we perceive stress, it triggers changes physiologically in our bodies.
How do we recognize the signs of stress?
Yeah, that's one of the most important things for us right now, is to notice and understand that we are responding from a place of stress and take steps to try and reduce our stress, because there's a lot of different things that happen both physiologically and psychologically when we're experiencing stress. So many of us probably know what it feels like to be stressed out about something, to be anxious, to be worried, whatever word in English you want to use for that, right? It can take different forms in different people, but some of the common things that people experience are that sort of sweaty palms, increased heart rate, yeah, increased breathing. If you have to give a big talk for work or for school, you may notice like you get we call it butterflies in your stomach. I don't know how that translates in Russian or Uzbek or Kazakh, but you get that kind of queasy, uncomfortable feeling in your stomach. Some people get nauseous. A good friend of mine threw up for like a whole day before her wedding. She was so nervous. She was just throwing up. I'm like, honey, that is not a good sign.
Oh.
Like you need to calm down. Right. But that's a sign of stress. Other things that physiologically you might notice is headaches, muscle tension, right? People have tightness in their neck, their shoulders, their backs, their jaw. Some people clench their jaw, or they grind their teeth at night. If you notice you like grind your teeth back and forth at night, that's a sign of stress. All of those things physiologically happen in your body because of the stress response that's triggered by your perception of danger. But psychologically, there's changes too that we should be aware of, because it particularly will affect how we interact with other people. When we're under stress, we tend to be less patient. We tend to be more irritable, grumpy with people, less calm. It's harder to manage our emotions and just stay calm. So we're more prone to emotional outbursts. Like some people get angry, some people will cry, like they more internalize it and feel sad. And little things can set us off, right? When we're under stress, we just have a lessened ability to cope with our emotions. And so small things that normally wouldn't bother us, after we've been trapped in our house with our family for 3 weeks, they start to bother us. So it's good to be aware of that, both in ourselves and recognize that our family members, our loved ones, are probably going through the same thing. We're all feeling stress. So we need to be patient with ourselves and with others and recognize both physically and psychologically the signs of stress. So we can say, you know what, I know it's not that, this person is that annoying. It's that I'm feeling stress and maybe I need to work on being a little more patient or do something for myself.
How can you work on being more patient when you can stop scrolling your news feed?
Well, I mean, you got to put your phone down.
By the way, inundated. Okay, but it's not easy.
It's not.
I have to be like on track. I have to like learn what's happening. I have to learn about the numbers and about coronavirus cases. And I get during the day. That's important question, right? I guess, to address.
So it's difficult. It's a challenge, but we do have to try to, one, limit ourselves with the information, because it's really just an attempt for us to reduce our anxiety and feel some control over a situation that we really don't have any control over. But humans don't like that. We don't like to feel like we have no control. So we're searching for information in an attempt to feel less out of control. But there's other better strategies. You can do other relaxation techniques, other things like exercise, like yoga, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation. I mean, I can give you, we can, in one of the other sessions, so this is a series of 3 talks. in one of the other talks, we're gonna get into more detail on some of these relaxation exercises. But it's good to have these kinds of tools available. So instead of searching the internet and social media for information that may or may not make you feel any better after you read it, chances are it's going to make you feel worse, because you're just going to see that cases are rising and there's no treatment yet. I mean, at some point that's going to shift, but not yet. So I would say limit yourself, try and only look in the morning when you wake up, or maybe at night before you go to, well, actually don't do it at night before you go to bed, because that's just going to stress you out. And another thing that the stress response does is it releases stress hormones that give you this sort of burst of energy, because if you're in danger, your body wants to be alert and be able to respond quickly. And so you get this fight or flight response. Don't do anything that's going
I
to
see one of
trigger
our
this.
listeners doing squats like right now.
Perfect. Good job.
Why not? Parallel.
Yes, right, exactly. So when you feel that sort of stress inside, you can feel those physical symptoms. One of the things you get is this sort of restless energy, because your body is gearing up to fight off a danger or flee from a danger. Well, neither of those things help right now. We don't need to fight with our family members. That's just going to make life worse. We can't run away. There's nowhere to go. So exercise, yeah, do squats in your living room, push-ups, crunches, it doesn't matter, whatever. There's all something that we can all do.
I'm missing running.
Yeah, we can't go for runs right now. No. I guess you have to run in place in your living room. That's the only thing. It's the only option. Yeah, exactly. That's what we have to do, right? But again, that's part of recognizing, hey, you know what? I'm feeling stress. Maybe you don't even recognize it in yourself, but exercise is good. It'll make me feel better. And so just incorporate movement into your everyday life, especially right now when like Shakina, you were saying you can't even go out for a walk, right? That's not even allowed right now in Tashkent. So you're literally trapped in your apartment. So getting up and moving around and doing something with your body is going to be essential for reducing that anxiety that we're feeling. Yeah. So you got to find some way to do squats in your living room or push-ups or whatever it is. Dance. It doesn't have to feel like a burden. You can you could do Dance Revolution if you still have that on your computer, Shakina, or, just have a dance party with your family. If you're a parent and you've got kids at home with restless energy, make them have a dance party.
Speaking of workouts and everything that people are trying to do with their lives right now, there is another problem emerging. You just watch them posting. When you literally start comparing yourself. People are sharing how much productive they are being and how they are scheduling everything. They're being creative. People are baking, taking online classes, I don't know, becoming artists and writers. They work out. Looking at them, I'm like, I can only breathe right now. This is one of my talents right now.
Yes.
So, and I start comparing myself to those people who are being very productive.
Yeah. Aren't they annoying?
Oh yeah, they are.
Right. No, right. So that's never going to make you feel better, right? Even in the best of times, you start comparing yourself to people on social media. It's not going to improve your mental well-being or your sense of happiness, right? That's always a losing game, and right now even more so. And I would say a couple of things about that. First, remember that it's social media. Right? You're seeing people post on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever it is, wherever you're at on social media. And that's not real life, right? What people post on social media is curated. It's what they want you to see. They're trying to post the best of themselves, right? It's like their life is airbrushed. You hardly ever see somebody posting on Instagram a terrible picture of themselves in the morning in their pajamas with no makeup after they haven't showered for 4 days, because who cares? Nobody's going to see you, right? Like, we don't see those pictures. That
we should come up with a challenge. It's going to change the world. I mean, it's going to
like real photos.
Yes.
I love that. I love that idea. And this is go viral. So we could do that. Everyone could have homework to, post a real selfie of this is what it looks like on day 22 of quarantine. In my same pajamas for 4 days. I mean, I got up this morning and
Yes.
showered and put makeup on and all that stuff. But yeah, Shahida saw me yesterday. Yeah, I
It's a
love
little,
that idea.
desperate. It's like people thinking, I have nothing to lose. There's nothing to hide. That's it.
Right. Yeah, this is what I really look like. This is what my life really. There's Cheetos on the floor. There's cereal in the couch. Like, whatever it is, we are all coping the best we can. And we're not seeing a lot of this real life struggle out there on social media. We're seeing these beautiful families that seem super talented. Like they've made up like Broadway show tunes about the coronavirus and their whole families, they're singing it. And I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with my family? Like, why aren't we doing these things? And, it's just not our real lived experience for most of us. So, I mean, that's one thing to just keep in mind is that you're not seeing the real story, the full story. And I love the idea of challenging all the go viral viewers, participants. Yeah, we should come up with some kind of hashtag that we can use and post like real life photos of what this quarantine business looks like. So the rest of us can stop feeling bad about ourselves. What was that?
That's gonna be brutal.
Right? But it's real.
Yeah, our lives
It's
will never be the
real.
same. Yeah.
Well,
another thing,
you start it.
Yeah, you can. I mean, tomorrow, not today, I guess.
Well, yeah, now I look good. Well, at least I hope I do. I tried.
Give us one day to clean our rooms.
No. That defeats the purpose. Just real, what it is right now. Don't clean up. See, that's a perfect illustration of what's going on. That's what you see on social media, right? Right? No, I'm going to take a picture. So let me clean everything. Let me clean my space up. Let me do my hair. And at some point, we're not going to be able to get haircuts anymore. Everybody's going to look shaggy and sad. We can't even go out and get a haircut. So, first of all, you're not seeing that. So that's the first thing I would say. And then the second thing that I was going to mention is we are really experiencing a challenging time. There's a lot of uncertainty right now, and people are anxious and uncomfortable, and you need to give yourself time to adjust, right? The title of this session is Adjusting to the New Normal. So how do we adjust to the new normal? Part of it is being patient with yourself and recognizing that this is going to take time. And don't expect yourself to be one of those productive people immediately, right? You are experiencing a huge change in the way you conduct life. Your work productivity is probably going to go down at least for a little while you adjust to this new normal, this new way of being in the world. It's going to be harder to learn. Students and children, you're dealing with stress, and that makes everything more difficult. People are probably not sleeping well, which makes things more difficult. I mean, to expect yourself to be more productive than usual is unrealistic. Now, there are some people out there who thrive under these conditions. There definitely are. But most of us are going to take time to adjust to this new normal. And it's important to be patient and understanding with yourself.
Speaking of adjustment and our work, I think many people, and you as well, we are trying to not to blend our home and work.
We can't help it right now.
I'm sure you've seen many videos of how people trying to work, but the whole apocalypse happening on the background with their kids and dogs. Like, I know it's funny, but still, it means like people are experiencing some, the difficulties, and this is actually challenging not to blend your family, your, let's say, household stuff with your work. And I know that you are dealing with this too. And how are you coping with this right now?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because right now there is no line between work and home or school and home, right? I mean, we literally have to do everything from our homes, like this call right now. I'm glad actually that it's at 5 a.m. for me here in Minnesota because my family's all asleep. My dog is asleep. Otherwise, you'd probably hear my dog barking in the background. And that is just the reality of this new life that we have right now. And one thing that can help is to try and find some physical space. I know that we all have a different amount of space we're working with, and some people have, more space in their house or apartment than others, but like I've set myself up a little workstation. So I'm in my kitchen here. You can see, I'm in my kitchen. I'm at my dining room table, and I just have a little corner of the table. I'm like, this is my office. So this is my physical space. I don't have an office to go into and shut the door and keep everybody out. But at least I have this little corner of my house that's set aside for me to work. So I also am lucky that I have a teenager. I don't have little kids anymore. So I can tell my family, like, I'm on a conference call or I'm doing work right now. Please respect that and like give me some space. It usually doesn't work. They come in anyway. So I try, we're all trying our best. We have to be patient with ourselves and with each other. When somebody is on a conference call and their dog's barking in the background, okay, it's part of the new normal. I saw a really funny tweet about this woman. Some of you may have seen it. I don't know. It was in the United States, but this woman was on a conference call for work and she forgot that she had turned herself into a potato. There's these like Zoom, that you can change what you look like on Zoom. There's not just your background, but you can physically change what you look, kind of like filters.
Mask, yeah.
Yeah, mask. So she had been on a Zoom like social hour with her friends the night before, got up early in the morning for her work call, and she was literally a potato with her face superimposed on the potato for her work call, and she couldn't figure out how to undo it. So she spent this like hour in this conference call for work with her face superimposed over a potato. I mean, it's just, at some point we not only have to be patient with each other, but we just have a sense of humor about it. Like we just have to laugh at these things and say, yep, okay, you know what? My toddler just came into the screen of my CNN interview. Like it's not just us that it's happening to. These are real situations that people who are on TV and important CEOs and business calls, everybody's dealing with the same thing. Right. So I was talking to one of my friends who is a politician and the Minnesota State House. She's a representative in the State House. And they were on a conference call because many of them are also quarantining. They were on a conference call and one of the representatives who has a young child, her kid just walked in and she just picked him up and set him on her lap and she just kept right on going with so the kid joined the conference call. So, and that's part of the new normal. We're just going to make it work.
I have a question.
Yes, what's that?
In the news, they said that there is an increase of domestic violence in the world because people are not used to live with each other 24/7. How people should deal with that?
That's a really good question. It's a really difficult situation. That I've seen those statistics too, and just anecdotally, my nephew is a police officer in Wisconsin, the neighboring state. And he said for the last 2 weeks, the only calls he's gotten are domestic violence calls. Nobody's out driving much, so there's no traffic accidents. They're not giving people traffic tickets. They're going to people's homes and intervening in situations of domestic abuse, domestic violence. It's a really sad situation because we're not able to leave our homes, and for people whose homes aren't safe places, that's a serious concern. It's a real problem. My heart goes out to all the people who are in that kind of situation. What we can do personally is, one, try to manage our own emotions. Everyone try to manage our own emotions so that we don't get angry to the point where we're lashing out at our loved ones. They deserve better than that from us. We're all in this together. It's a very difficult situation. And we need to do our best to manage our own stress, to manage our own emotions so that we can stay calm, patient, and understanding with each other. so that we don't end up lashing out and being in those situations, because that's just not right. It's just not fair. We should never be taking our emotions out on somebody else. And for the people who are the victims of that, I hope that they make it through this safely. And then when things change and you're able to get to a safe space, that you can do that, because that's never okay. And it's going to be worse now because everything's heightened. Everybody's emotions are heightened. We don't have places to go. We're stuck with people that we may or may not really enjoy spending this much time with. And it's hard. But hopefully we'll all make it through this safely and do our very best to be our best selves for our friends and family that we are interacting with right now. And again, we can talk more about how to manage emotions, how to reduce anger, how to relieve stress in that. I think it's the third session, Shahina, that we're talking about that in. Yeah. Shahina, I can't hear you.
Are you here?
She's here, but I can see her.
Yeah, can you
but
hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Now
Good.
Okay,
yes.
that's great.
Thank you.
I was just listening to you guys, and you actually stepped on that point when we were discussing how many people feel themselves trapped with their families 24/7, and it turns out it's quite a challenge. And it's all about the fact that our social environment has changed. It's all of a sudden we have too much interaction with our family members and lack of interaction with the people outside, our friends and colleagues. These proportions have changed, and it doesn't feel really comfortable right now. And the other day we were talking about these jokes, right? Many people have suddenly realized that while marrying, they didn't think that someday they will have to spend their life together on a quarantine. So that's why they are get divorced. Because now they see finally each other in true colors because of this crisis. That's one thing. And another thing, there is a joke which mostly girls are posting that, I should have get married before March. Now it's never gonna happen because I'm trapped. And I know it's these are jokes, obviously, but I think they are based on something that people are experiencing, true feelings, let's say.
Yeah, of course. The best jokes are funny because we can relate to them, right? Yeah. So they're funny because there is something true underneath the joke, right? But I will say that now is not the time to make any major life decisions. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I should have gotten married already, I wish I would have married that guy. When you're under stress like this, it's difficult to think clearly and really make rational decisions. So also I should have gotten married before this all happened is unhelpful, but also maybe I'm going to end up getting divorced because I now hate my spouse. Like I hate my partner, 3 weeks into quarantine and I can't stand looking at your face anymore. Again, you have to recognize that this is a stressful situation and things will get better. At some point, one, we're going to adjust better. So it's going to be less difficult for ourselves. And two, this quarantine is not going to last forever. It feels like it right now. Like every day feels like an eternity, but we will eventually go back to being able to go out and having that normal amount of space and, not spending 24/7 with the same people. So just wait it out. Don't make any life choices now. But yeah, having a sense of humor about it is good. Finding things that we can laugh at. Like one of my favorite things I've seen online, and I shared this with Shahina yesterday, was I saw a post that said, ladies, please check on your sisters-in-law because they are trapped with your brothers right now and they are not okay. And I just had to laugh at that. So I'm like, you know what? That makes 2 points. One is that, yeah, this is a challenge, and all of us who are trapped with loved ones know that it's a challenge. And two, we really do need to reach out to each other. Yes, it's supposed to be funny, but that's an important point, is whether you are doing this quarantine alone, which you may feel isolated and really disconnected from your friends and family, or you're trapped with your family and they're starting to get on your nerves. Either way, we need to make sure that we're nurturing those relationships that we have and reaching out to people, maybe people you haven't talked to in a while. Now is a great time to say, you know what? I'm going to reach out and say, how are you doing? Just check in with people. I personally have made a point to reach out to somebody every day, somebody different. I send a text message or, message them on Telegram or phone call or FaceTime, video calls, whatever it is. Just check in with somebody and say, hey, how are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while. Are you doing okay with this? It helps us feel connected. It helps them feel connected. And if they're not doing okay, maybe there's something we can do to support them. I mean, I know we're physically distancing ourselves from each other, but that doesn't mean that we need to be feeling socially isolated. We can still nurture those connections that we have with people. And maybe rebuild some connections that we've let slide over the years. There might be people that you haven't talked to, you think, why haven't I talked to that person? Like, maybe now's a good time. I should reach out. I'd like to nurture that relationship.
And then to rediscover why you have actually stopped talking to that person. Yeah.
Well, yeah, in some cases you may be like, oh yeah, that's right. Now I remember why we stopped talking. But at least you reached out and you made them feel like you were thinking about them. And that's got to make them feel good.
And actually, at this point, it's really important to think and remember about those people whose new normals are 100% different from ours. And I mean medical workers. I mean families of medical workers, because they are living in a fear of catching this virus and exposing their families to the virus. People treating coronavirus patients are undressing in their garages, entering their homes via back doors, sanitizing every single surface they touch, and hiding from children, seeking for hugs until after they shower. And the families of healthcare professionals are pleading with people to follow social distancing guidelines. And us being trapped without family certainly is a challenge, but I guess it's a lot better than having it. It's a lot difficult. I mean, for them, they have different new normals.
Yeah, they do. And you think about the amount of stress that those of us who don't work in the healthcare field are feeling right now, like just being in our homes and adjusting to our lives being very different. And now multiply that times 100, 1,000 for those healthcare workers, because they're also having to adjust to all of the things that we're adjusting to, because I mean, they're still going out to work, but probably their families are not. So their home life is different. But they are going every single day into a very stressful and actually dangerous situation, right? We talk about stress coming from situations that don't actually involve danger for most of us. Like, I'm just getting restless. I haven't been outside. My family's getting on my nerves. But, they're spending every day caring for sick people who are contagious, who might potentially make them sick. And then they're worried they're going to get their family sick. So, I mean, part of this is for me to recognize that these people are making a huge sacrifice and they're bearing a great burden on our behalf. Even if we're not sick, they're bearing the burden of this, dealing with and caring for people who have this virus. So we need to do two things. One is show appreciation and gratitude, right? To really have gratitude in our hearts for these people and what they're going through, what they're sacrificing for us. And the other is then act on that gratitude by following the guidelines, right? As much as it sucks for us to be trapped, to not be able to go out and drive somewhere, to not go to a movie, to not go to a restaurant or a cafe, to be stuck in the same room with the same people, or worse, maybe stuck in a room with no people. If you're a people person and you are sitting there all by yourself for 3 weeks, that's hard, right? It's really hard, but we have to do it. We have to do it to help everybody get through this and stay safe, and to especially help those healthcare workers to be able to manage this crisis, because they need as few people as possible coming in to see them and coming to the hospital, because they can only deal with so much. Right? So we need to do what we can to help them get through this as well. And that means, you know what? You just got to suck it up and stay home. As much as it's difficult, we don't have a choice. We have to do it. You have to follow the guidelines and then take care of yourself so that you can get through it with your mind intact, so that, and your relationships intact, right? In
realizing that, again, we came to the point of dealing with uncertainty. We should, I guess, remember that some things will never go back to normal. And it's not a temporary disruption. This is a start of a completely different way of life. And there is a good chance that we will get used to this quarantine life, and then we will be reluctant to go back to normal. B, there may be changes are yet to come, and we're not even aware of. So in this case, how do we embrace change? Is there any less painful way to do this? Because this way or another, we just have to.
We do. We have to find a way to be okay with all of the change that's happening and the uncertainty around that change. I think that's part of what makes this even more difficult, is we just don't know, right? There's so much uncertainty, so much unknown around the situation that it's hard for us to accept it. But we really have to. We have to learn how to be okay with this much uncertainty, with this much potential change. There's a lot of things that we can do to help ourselves be okay with change. The second session, we're going to talk about positive thinking and optimism and controlling our thoughts. So I'll leave that for next Wednesday. But one thing that we can start doing right now is practicing mindfulness. And mindfulness is this idea of being in the present moment, trying to keep your mind focused on the here and now. It's a way to prevent yourself from starting that negative cycle, that sort of spiral downward of, oh my gosh, what if? Stopping yourself and saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus on this moment, what's happening right here, right now, without judgments about it being good or bad, without expectations about how it should be, trying to force it to be different than what it is. Part of mindfulness is accepting things the way they are, just allowing the moment to unfold however it is. It sounds simple, just to be in the present moment without expecting it to be different or wanting it to be other than it is. But that can be really hard. It takes practice, it takes mental discipline, but it's a skill you can learn. You just have to start incorporating it into your everyday life. So the more that we can practice mindfulness, the less painful that change is going to be. We're going to be more flexible and more open to whatever changes kind of happen in the moment, and be okay with the uncertainty. Be okay with not knowing what's going to happen in the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. So one of the simplest way, when I teach a class on an introduction to mindfulness and meditation, as well as a class in stress management, and I teach all of those students right away how to do mindful breathing. So one of the simplest ways to begin to practice mindfulness is to focus on your breath and try to really pay attention to your breathing in any given moment. And you can do it anywhere, which makes it really nice. You can do it anytime. I mean, I have definitely been having conversations with colleagues at work, my son at home, and I just stop. I'm like, you know what? I need to just breathe for a minute, because I can feel myself getting upset and I need to slow everything down. I need to bring myself back to this moment, clear my mind. So if people are interested, I think now is a pretty good time actually to do the breathing exercise. What do you think, Shahina? Yeah?
I'm for.
Okay, so we'll just do a short version of it, just a few minutes, and then you'll get the idea of how to do it. And hopefully you can practice it at home when your family starts getting on your nerves, or when you're sitting there by yourself feeling lonely, you can stop and do this breathing exercise. So even though I know I said exercise, like getting up and physically moving is good, right now I'm going to ask you to just, if you're not already sitting down, just sit down. Or at least if you need to be standing, just bring stillness to your body, and go ahead, and if it's okay with you to close your eyes, I would encourage you to close your eyes. Probably mute yourself so we don't hear anybody breathing loudly into their microphones. And then just begin by noticing your breath. You don't need to try and change anything. You don't need to try to control anything. Don't do anything differently. Simply notice how the air feels moving in and out of your body with each breath. And then ask yourself if you can begin to slow down the pace of your breathing. And starting each inhale at the base of the belly, expanding the belly out like a balloon, fully inhaling.
It's funny when you said like a balloon, I thought to myself, yeah, it's a balloon, actually.
So inhaling fully. And then on your exhale, draw your belly button in toward your spine, fully exhaling. So you're taking slow, deep breaths from deep in your belly. And keep breathing slowly and deeply like this. And shift your focus into your body. So keep your eyes closed, draw your attention inward to your body. Just take a moment to notice how your body's feeling right now. Again, there's no need to change anything. There's no judgment about it. Just notice how your body's feeling. This is part of noticing, being mindful of what your body's experiencing. And then shift your focus into your mind and take a moment to notice where your thoughts are at. Again, no pressure to change them. Just notice if your mind is running away from you. And then ask yourself if you can put everything on hold. Just press the pause button for a minute and focus only on your breath. Focus on breathing in and breathing out right here and now. And take one more deep breath in through your nose. Then exhale through your mouth with a big sigh. And open your eyes again. So that is a very simple exercise that you can do to calm yourself down. When you're in a stress response, your breathing increases, right? Your heart rate increases, your breathing speeds up. And purposefully slowing your breath down is a way to force your body to shift from that stress response to a relaxation response. So by controlling your breath, you can control the amount of stress that's happening in your body at any point in time. And you can do it anywhere, which is why I love it. You can do it for 30 seconds. You can do it for 20 minutes, if however long you need to in order to feel calm. Did you unmute yourself, Shahina?
Just my heart rate has slowed down way too much, and I'm like,
oh, good. You're feeling a little more relaxed. We should have started with this.
I mean, next session, we're gonna start with this, exercise. And
yeah,
I think it's great if we tell our listeners, our participants, that they can take tests and do the homework, I want to say.
Oh, right. Yeah,
So
I could shift to that, and then we can take a few questions if people have questions to submit through the chat box. I haven't been watching the chat while we were talking, but
there wasn't any questions so far in the chat box. I checked. There is one person thanking Laurie, like a yoga session. Saiji says, but you all are welcome to ask some questions in any languages. I mean, at least in Russian or in Kazakh, sorry, in Kazakh,
or Uzbek.
Russian and English. Otherwise, yes. But if it could be Uzbek, I mean, Shahina will help us to translate. You all are welcome.
Svetlana wants to know something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what, Svetlana, type your question in, and then, but while we're waiting, let me just mention that that stress assessment. So I've given Go Viral a fairly quick stress assessment that people can do. So Go Viral is going to share that, and if you want to know kind of how your levels of stress are right now, you can take that assessment and see how stressed out you are currently. And then we can talk about that in the next session and in the third session if you come back. And then before we go, Shakina, there's also a mindfulness exercise that I was going to encourage people to practice. So just remind me to come back to that before we end. Yeah, thanks. Svetlana?
Okay, let's go with this one. Svetlana?
Yes.
How do we deal with smaller kids?
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can, yes.
Hi, Miss Laurie. Yes, I have met you in person. If you remember, I invited you to the Prosecutors Academy in Tashkent.
Oh, yes, I remember. That was so nice. Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to see you in this webinar. And my question here is, how do we deal with smaller kids, not teenagers, stuck at home, seeing us 24/7, being bored because kids love going outdoors and seeing us getting so I have my son here. He's also like, he's loving it at the same time. Hi. And he's also sometimes annoyed, like, okay, do I have to see you only? What about other people? So what is the solution for this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's hard, right? It's a struggle, especially if you're in any way still trying to work to sort of balance being able to work from home and managing your children, because I know managing your children is a full-time job. Like, they require a lot of time, attention, and energy. One thing that can help is to keep something of a schedule. Try to make something that looks approximately like a normal schedule. Right, so you kind of get up in the morning. Okay, this is breakfast time. This is when we're going to do reading time. I'm assuming do they have schoolwork still? Or I don't know about the schools in Tashkent. Does your son still have schoolwork he has to be doing, or are they on a break right now?
Yes, there's
still schoolwork.
There's a lot of study. Yes, they're studying from home.
Okay, yeah. So to set a schedule. So okay, now you're going to work on your math now, and it's going to be a struggle. Are you also working from home? I don't know if you are doing any online work.
No, I'm not working. I'm on a holiday on my vacation. Okay. Yeah, but I'm taking a lot of online courses. Plus, I'm working. I'm helping my son with his studies.
Of course. Yeah. So maybe what you can do is sort of sit side by side, and he's working on his studies and you're working on your studies. And there's definitely going to be a back and forth where he's going to be asking your questions and you're going to have a lot of interruptions. And right now it's just going to have to be part of it. The other thing is to keep them active. Like I said before, like have a dance party, sing, be creative in some way, sort of set up an obstacle course in your house. I don't know how you do that, how big your space is, but anything you can do to sort of they have energy at that age, right? Most younger children, they need to be moving. So if you can find ways to teach them to juggle, if you want, anything you can do to make sure that they get physical activity during the day and can be moving around and being active, even though they're stuck inside. Other things you can do is, try to give them ways to use their imagination and keep their brains engaged. I don't know exactly what that looks like. Maybe you draw pictures and maybe you make up songs, write stories. There's kind of a fun activity that people here do with story prompts. So you start a line, like one day I was walking through the forest and then, you know, you go around and everybody adds to the story. And at the end, you've made a funny story or an interesting story, or whatever, you know, you can engage your kids that way. Whatever you can do to keep their bodies moving and their minds active is going to help you get through the day. And as much as possible, stick to a normal schedule and get them to sleep. Because if we throw everything out the window and don't enforce a normal sleep schedule for kids, they're going to get sleep deprived. And then trust me, I know from my teenager, before he was this age, he did not sleep well and it was a struggle. And sleep deprived children are really, I almost said a not good word in English. They're really cranky and they're really difficult.
Right.
When kids are sleep deprived, they have a much harder time dealing with their emotions. So if you put stress, which makes it hard for us to deal with our emotions, and children also experience stress, so they're going to have more mood swings and more outbursts right now because they're stressed. And then if they're also sleep deprived on top of it, it's going to be a nightmare. So as much as you can, try to make sure that they're sleeping well at night and that they're mentally and physically engaged during the day, whatever you can do in your environment to keep them engaged. And it's gonna be hard because they demand our attention all the time. It's just the way it is with little kids, with younger children. And also, if you can, when you can, make a point to take time for yourself, right? Try to find some time, and it might be after they go to sleep. Maybe that's the only time that you have peace and quiet in your house, but do something for yourself to sort of refill your cup, because it's really hard to be a parent and it's really challenging now anyway, even if you're not a parent. So you got to take care of yourself.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was nice to see you again, Svetlana.
Thank you. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, you too.
One thing I found useful when it comes to working from home or studying from home is to get properly dressed as if you're going out to work or to study. Walk out the door.
Houston, is it you?
It's
Tula. It's me.
Oh, okay.
Hi. And I can see Yoko here. But anyways, so yeah, one thing I found useful is to get dressed. If I'm in my pajamas and if I'm not putting myself in that mindset of trying to work or trying to study, then I'm not going to do it. So if I have to do something, I get up, put some nice clothes on, walk out the door, come back in as if I'm going to work or I'm going to study. I don't know if it works with children, but you can definitely try that too.
Yeah, I love that idea for everybody, actually. Maybe you don't have to walk out the door exactly, but you know, get up, shower, dress, shave, maybe. And then go to your kitchen or go to your living room, or like wherever that space is you've set up, your workspace for yourself or for your kids. You know, keep a normal routine. Get up, get dressed, eat breakfast, and then go to work or go to school, wherever that is in your house. Your commute is just a lot shorter right now. But that's a good suggestion. Yeah, we're struggling in our house right now to not stay in pajama pants. So like, no, come on. I think 4 days is enough. Now let's put some pants on. Maybe you'll feel better.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there is another question from another participant. If I'm pronouncing it correct, Sai G. I also would like to ask how to deal with heart and insomnia, taking into consideration that I'm still working remotely and feeling depressed due to absence of work-life balance.
Yeah. A lot of people are having problems sleeping right now, either because they're feeling depressed or they're feeling anxious, or both. You could be feeling both at the same time. That's not unusual. One thing that can help is to, again, I'm going to go back to the exercise. It's surprising exercise, about 20 to 30 minutes a day of anything, any sort of physical activity has been shown to reduce anxiety and depression. So that can help manage your emotions, but at the same time, physical exercise helps us to sleep better at night. Other things that can help is to try and keep a normal schedule. Listen to your natural body rhythms. We all have a natural sleep schedule. Sometimes we've lost track of it because we've had insomnia, or we work late, or we stay up late watching Netflix or whatever it is. But try and pay attention to your natural body rhythms. You're going to feel tired at some point, and see if you can unplug at that point. Put down your devices, put down your phone. You don't want to have any screen time or artificial light for about an hour before bed. Sort of dim the lights, put your screens away, sort of prepare your body for sleep. Our bodies pay attention to the signals from the environment. The light cues are a very natural way for us to know when we're supposed to be awake and when we're supposed to be asleep. So dim the lights at night. Don't do anything stressful. Do not go on your phone and start reading stories about coronavirus right before you're going to go to sleep. Try to do relaxing things before bed. And again, notice your natural rhythm. Some people are night people, right? They're night owls. They stay up till 2 in the morning and then they sleep until noon. Maybe that's you, and try to work within that natural rhythm. I'm more of a morning person. I go to sleep early, like 10 o'clock at night, and I wake up at 6 in the morning, or right now I'm sleeping longer than that because I can. But try to work within your natural body rhythms so that you can keep a normal sleep schedule as much as possible. That's going to help you. So other things to keep in mind: avoid stress. Also avoid caffeine late at night. If you're a person who, not everybody responds the same to caffeine, but it's a stimulant, so it's going to tend to keep you awake. So don't drink anything caffeinated in the evening before you're going to go to sleep. Say probably 3 or 4 hours before you want to go to sleep. Don't have caffeine. And nicotine is also a stimulant, so try not to smoke before bed if you happen to be a smoker. Cutting both of those things out might help as well. So normal schedule, don't do things stressful at night, unplug, create a sort of bedtime ritual for yourself, relaxing things, dim light, sort of shut your body down, give yourself those cues that it's time to go to sleep. All right, are there other questions? I see there's a lot of messages in the chat box.
We've been just updating people and asking them to join our Telegram channel, which is called Go Viral Chat, where we can share your homework, I guess. So just to double check, even though those people didn't attend our online session today and in our Telegram chat, is it okay if they do this homework as well?
Oh, of course. Yeah, the stress assessment is for anybody. You don't need to have attended this. It has instructions on the top. So I think that that's perfectly fine. And then I think this is a good time to circle back, Shahina, to the mindfulness exercise. So we did a mindful breathing exercise, and I would encourage people to continue to do that throughout your day, anytime that you need it. If you feel like you need to just slow everything down around you a little, calm yourself, slow your mind down, whatever the case is. To do that mindful breathing exercise. But you can extend your mindfulness practice by picking something that you do every day and do that one thing mindfully. So when I do this, like when I did this this mindfulness exercise in Tashkent for the Go Viral session I did in January, I gave out chocolate and I asked people to eat mindfully. We all eat every day. You eat something every day. Maybe you're a coffee drinker and you drink coffee in the morning, or people might have noticed that I'm having a cup of tea this morning. So take that one thing, your coffee, your tea, a meal that you have, whatever it is. And if it's not food or drink, maybe it's, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair. It doesn't matter what it is, but do that one thing with your full attention. Focus on the sensations in that moment. So notice how, I'm going to just use my tea because I have it. Notice how it smells. Notice how it tastes. Notice the texture of it, the temperature, the warmth in your mouth. My tea's getting cold now. So notice, oh, it's not that hot anymore. Just fully immerse yourself, all of your senses in that experience, just once a day for a short period of time. It doesn't, you know, if you're brushing your hair, maybe it only lasts for a minute, but you're doing that one thing with your full attention, with all of your senses, and then slowly extend that into more and more parts of your day. But just start small with something that you do each day and try to do that one thing mindfully.
Guys, did you ever consider to temporarily change your name from Go Viral?
Oh, because it's viral?
No, it's actually, it's very trendy. We are very trendy right now. But we are very viral with the positive information, positive vibes. And so, I mean, it's depend on people how they interpret it. So we are keeping it. But I like your bowl, Laurie. I guess you got it from Uzbekistan. It's very beautiful.
Yes, this is part of my Uzbek tea set. I came back with a ridiculous amount of things from Uzbekistan. We don't even need to talk about it. I think Shahina has a sense of how much stuff I bought while I was there. I've got my Uzbek earrings on, and I've got one of my many Uzbek scarves. Yeah, I did a lot of shopping.
You need to come
there.
to Kazakhstan now.
I do. I would love to come to Kazakhstan. Invite me to do something there. I'll be on a plane as soon as they start flying again.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should come up with something definitely, perhaps for the festival. So I think we're already talking more than 1 hour. Actually, it's been really joyful and great. All people are still with us till the end, which is great. Just let everybody, I just wanted to remind everybody that this is just the first session of our 3 sessions altogether. So the next one will be next week on Wednesday, April 15th, same time, Almaty time, 4 p.m. And please, everybody, join our Telegram chat where we will be sending the homework. And please don't forget Laurie's advice on breathing and mindful eating, or whatever you will be doing, any action. Yes. So the next session, how it will be called? Mindfulness, or how we are calling it? Or we're keeping it the same as positive psychology?
Positive thinking.
Positive thinking. Yeah, we're going to focus on optimism and positive thinking. So the next one is on positive thinking.
Positive thinking. Great.
Thanks, everybody. Stay flexible, stay positive, stay mindful. And there are many changes are yet to come.
Thank you, Laurie, again.
Yes, thank you.
Up really
thank
early
you, everybody.
For us.
Of course, it was a pleasure to do it. Thanks for coming.
All right, guys. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you again.